Welcome everybody back to Suburbs of Seattle. I'm your host Andrey Gulyy as always. And today I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what's happening in the Renton market specifically. Now, Renton is a city located about 15 miles south of Seattle. It's where I live, as I've mentioned before, for those of you who are new to the channel. And Renton has been a very hot market, as all of Washington has been, right? But there's one little change that I'm going to share with you in this video that I started noticing just recently in the last 2 weeks. So stay tuned. I'll share it with you right after the intro. So welcome back, and let's get right into it. I want to share something with you guys. Now, the market is, as you've seen in some of my last videos, the interest rates are changing. The market is slowly shifting here and there, and let me explain what I mean by that. Here is a house in Renton that I listed at $650, and we sold at $700,000 within a day or two. Nice house. The buyers picked it up right away. They waived pretty much all contingencies and they closed the deal in 2 weeks. Now, my client whose house I sold here, he has a second house that we just put on the market on last Thursday. And this house is in a slightly different price point. It's only $100,000 more. We listed it at $800,000. And what I want to share with you is the level of activity that we can see changing between just the two price points. $100,000 in real estate is not too big of a deal when you're looking at mortgage payments. That could be, an extra $400, $500 on your monthly mortgage payment. So pretty affordable. But what I want to point out is this first house that I listed, the very first day, right? We had 10 or 12 bookings immediately, literally within like an hour or two posting it. And we had showings for the following day and the day after that. So for 3 days in a row, we were slammed with showings. We happened to sell the house the first day to one of the first buyers that walked through because they loved it. They offered more and my client took the offer, right? Now, take a look at this house. This is the one that I'm selling for my client right now. And you'll notice, as I mentioned, it's at $800,000. Here's the surprise for you. 1 month ago, we were looking at prices with him and we were like, man, we could easily get $900,000. Easily. And I'm going to bring up a house for you to compare with the one that I listed. Now, this house on Kennewick here in Renton, less than a mile away from my house, it sold for $975 in March 17th. Okay, so just over a month ago, right? For $975, they listed it at $729. Okay, so they got hundreds of thousands of dollars above asking price. Now, this house that sold in March is 4 beds, right? It's 2.5 baths. It's 2,200 square feet. Okay, and it sold at $975. As you can see, the inside is pretty nice. Yes, maybe it looks a little bit better from depending on who you ask, but it might look a little bit more fresh on the inside than the one we listed it, right? Depending on who you ask, like I said. But take a look at our house here. Also nice kitchen, right? We have a nice kitchen. We have a shop on the property. Again, less than a mile away. And I would say ours is better significantly. We even have a section of the house that you can rent out separately with a second kitchen, okay? A month ago, we were looking and we were like 900,000 easily. And guess what? 2 weeks ago, we looked at it and we see prices coming down a little bit and we're like, man, now it's 850. And on Wednesday, when I was at my client's house signing the listing paperwork, we realized that our best bet is 800,000 because the houses around us started lowering their prices as well, right? So what does that tell us? That tells us that the activity level on these houses in the higher price point, let's say 800,000 and above, right? It started going down a little bit. And it's clearly seen by my showing activity. My first 3 days of my on market with this house, we only got one showing. It's happening today on Sunday, right? And for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be calling that agent after the showing and asking what their clients thought of the house. See, typically in a seller's market, which we are still in a seller's market, typically when it's hot and things are flying off the shelf, you don't even have to call back an agent to find out what their clients thought of the place, because if they liked it, they're going to put in an offer, right? And typically you have, like we had on this house I sold for my client last time, we had one solid offer come in right away. We could have waited for another 3 or 4 to come in. We had people saying that more offers were coming in, but we just chose to go with that one because it was a solid offer, right? So this is kind of showing us that the market is shifting. Now, like I said, in a certain price point, because I've been showing houses in other areas as well here in SeaTac on a $500,000 house, and the listing agent there said that they have 10 or 12 showings booked for the day. So you're kind of seeing people who could afford a $700,000 or $800,000 home before, just a month or two ago. Some of them might be moving down to some lower price points because of the interest rates. I saw a graph recently. If I find it, I'll be able to post it here for you guys. It showed that in January, with the current interest rates, for a $3,500 payment, you could afford an $864,000 house. Now, for a $3,500 payment, you can afford a $634,000 house. That's a $200,000 drop simply because interest rates went up. And next week, the Fed is meeting. They're going to be raising the rates again, and it will reflect into the housing market. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if we climb into the 7s within a few months. Quite easily, actually. So the moment the interest rate goes up, your purchasing power comes down. So if you're a buyer in this market, right, and you're wondering, man, what do I do with this info, right? And guys, I'm still working constantly at a time. I have about 10 buyers I'm working with or so. Yeah, around 10, 8 or 10. But yeah, you might be thinking like, man, what do I do right now? Do I wait a few years? But the thing is, okay, you wait a few years, right? Let's say prices adjust down, but then you're paying a much higher interest rate. And yes, you could refinance a few years down the line, but still you're kind of trading off one thing for another. And we'll see what happens. I don't know if prices are going to drop like crazy on the, lower price point homes from 500,000 below. Here, again, you can clearly see that our price drop was $100,000 in a month. But it was for a home that we were planning to list at $900,000. We listed it at $800,000. I don't think you'll be seeing that anytime soon for a home that costs $450,000, pricing it at $350,000. Maybe they'll go down 25 grand, something like that. Time will tell, and I'll keep you guys posted. We can listen to as many analysts out there. We can look at as many indicators as we want. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. And if you guys need a home, if you still need a place, if maybe your lease is coming up and you've been paying your landlord for 20 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars paying off his mortgage, get into a home now. Refinance later when the rates drop. If it's affordable, if you can pay the monthly payment, get into a home. If you can't, then don't. Just whatever's better for your life situation. So, wanted to share this with you guys briefly. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and call me at the number below if you're looking to buy or sell a home anytime soon. Thanks so much.